Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, why do I keep letting people get away with things that I know deep down are not okay? Think about it. The comment someone made that cut you down. The promise someone broke and brushed off like it didn't matter. The way someone tried to twist your words, your feelings, your reality, just so they could come out on top. You told yourself, it's fine, I'll let it go, it's not worth the fight. But here's the truth. Every time you let it go, you're not keeping the peace, you're surrendering your power. And that quiet surrender, little by little, becomes the very reason people think they can treat you however they want. Let me tell you something very clear. What you tolerate is what you teach. If you tolerate disrespect, you are teaching people that disrespect is acceptable. If you tolerate manipulation, you are teaching people that your emotions are free to be played with. And the longer you keep teaching that lesson, the harder it becomes to rewrite it. Today, I want you to start asking yourself one simple but life-changing question. What are the things I will never again allow from anyone, no matter who they are, no matter how much I care about them, no matter how afraid I am to lose them? Because here's the reality. You only get one life, one chance to stand tall, one chance to command respect. And the people who do not honor that, they do not deserve a seat at your table. So listen carefully, because we're about to break down the 5 behaviors you should never tolerate from anyone, not from strangers, not from colleagues, not from friends, and not even from family. Once you recognize them, you will never see relationships the same way again. Disrespect is the first and loudest red flag you should never ignore. It shows up in small ways. At first, an offhand comment, a condescending tone, a joke made at your expense. And because it seems small, you brush it off. You tell yourself, it's not worth reacting to, I'll let it slide. But the problem with letting it slide is this: once you tolerate it, you give silent permission for it to continue. And it never stays small. Disrespect grows, it multiplies. What starts as a cutting remark turns into a pattern. And before you know it, you're living inside a relationship. Whether it's with a friend, a colleague, or even a partner, where you're constantly undermined, devalued, and treated as less. Think about the last time someone disrespected you. Maybe it was your boss interrupting you mid-sentence, like your voice didn't matter. Maybe it was a friend who made a cruel joke about you in front of others. Or maybe it was someone close to you who constantly dismisses your ideas, opinions, or feelings. In that moment, you felt it. That sting in your chest, that burning in your gut, that was your intuition telling you, this is not right, this is not okay. But if you ignored it, if you laughed it off, or stayed silent, you reinforced the very behavior that hurt you. Disrespect is not just about words, it's about the message behind them. When someone disrespects you, they are telling you, I don't see your value, I don't see your worth, I don't care about your boundaries. And here's the dangerous part. If you allow that message to repeat enough times, you start believing it yourself. That's when disrespect doesn't just come from others, it seeps into how you see yourself. You start shrinking your voice, you stop sharing your ideas, you begin to question your value, you accept less because you've been conditioned to believe you deserve less. Let me ask you something. How many times have you walked away from a situation thinking, I should have said something, I should have stood up for myself, but you didn't? And why didn't you? Maybe you were afraid of confrontation. Maybe you didn't want to be seen as difficult. Maybe you were scared of losing the relationship, the job, the opportunity. But here's the truth. Every time you bite your tongue when you know you should speak, you don't just lose that one battle. You start losing yourself. Disrespect is insidious because it wears you down. It chips away at your confidence piece by piece. And the longer you stay around people who disrespect you, the more it feels normal. That's the trap. That's how people end up stuck in toxic relationships, abusive environments, workplaces where they are undervalued. They stop noticing the disrespect because it has become their baseline. I want you to really think about this. Why do you tolerate disrespect? Most people tolerate it because they fear loss. They think if I call it out, they'll leave me. If I stand up for myself, I might lose this job. If I set boundaries, people will think I'm difficult. And so they swallow it, they endure it. But what you don't realize is that by holding on to disrespectful people or environments, you're already losing. You're losing your peace of mind, your dignity, your self-worth. And trust me, when I say this, nothing, and I mean nothing, is worth the price of losing yourself. Here's the raw truth. If someone disrespects you once and you say nothing, it will happen again. If someone laughs at you, cuts you down, talks over you, and you stay silent, they learn that your silence is permission. People don't respect what you don't protect. Respect is not given. It's earned. But if you don't demand it, if you don't stand up for it, you will never receive it. And let's be clear, demanding respect is not about yelling, cursing, or fighting. It's about clarity. It's about looking someone straight in the eye and saying, "That's not acceptable. You will not talk to me like that. You will not treat me that way." It's about walking away when people show you they cannot honor your value. It's about refusing to explain or justify why you deserve to be respected, because your very existence is enough reason. Respect starts with you. If you do not respect yourself, if you do not hold yourself to a standard, nobody else will. The way you carry yourself, the way you allow people to interact with you, teaches the world how to treat you. That's why it's not just about spotting disrespect in others. It's about rooting out the ways you disrespect yourself. When you talk down to yourself, when you sabotage your goals, when you accept less than what you know you deserve, you are disrespecting yourself. And if you treat yourself that way, you create the blueprint for others to follow. So let me ask you again, what do you tolerate? Do you laugh off the jokes that aren't really jokes? Do you stay quiet when someone interrupts you? Do you let people break your boundaries because you don't want to make things uncomfortable? Because here's the reality. Comfort is not the goal. Self-respect. Every strong, confident, unshakable person you admire has one thing in common. They do not tolerate disrespect. They walk away from relationships that diminish them. They cut off friendships that drain them. They speak up when their worth is questioned. And that's not because they're fearless. It's because they know the cost of silence is too high. From today forward, I want you to remember this. The first time someone disrespects you is the last time you stay silent. Because your silence is agreement. Your silence is permission. And once you start standing up for yourself, once you start demanding respect without apology, you'll notice something powerful. Those who truly value you will rise to meet your standard, and those who don't will fall away. And that is exactly how you separate who deserves a place in your life and who does not. Respect is the foundation of every meaningful connection. Without it, nothing else matters. So draw the line. Stand tall and let the world know, through your actions and your words, that you will never again accept less than the respect you deserve. Manipulation is one of the most dangerous behaviors you can ever tolerate, because it doesn't always come loud and obvious. It creeps in quietly, it disguises itself as care, as love, as concern. And that's why it's so hard to detect. Unlike disrespect, which hits you like a slap in the face, manipulation feels like a slow drip of poison in your mind. You don't notice it at first, but over time it rewires how you think, how you feel, and how you see yourself. Think about it. How many times have you heard someone say, "You're overreacting, you're too sensitive, you're imagining things"? Those aren't just phrases, those are tools. Tools designed to make you doubt yourself. That's manipulation at work. It's not about arguing with you, it's about controlling you. If I can make you question your memory, your feelings, your perception, then I own you. Because the second you start relying on me to tell you what's real and what's not, I've already taken control of your life. And here's what makes manipulation so powerful. It feeds on your empathy. Manipulators target good people, people who care, people who love deeply, people who don't want to hurt others. They twist your compassion into a weapon against you. They guilt you into silence. They use your kindness as leverage. Suddenly, you're apologizing for things you didn't even do. You're sacrificing your peace just to keep someone else happy. And slowly, without even realizing it, you stop living for yourself. You start living under their control. Let me make this clear. Manipulation is emotional theft. It steals your ability to think freely. It steals your voice. It steals your truth. And if you allow it long enough, it will steal your life. I've seen people trapped in toxic relationships, not because the door was locked, but because manipulation convinced them they couldn't leave. They were told, No one will love you like I do. You'll never survive without me. You need me. And they believed it. That's the real tragedy of manipulation. It makes you cage yourself while the manipulator holds the key. Now ask yourself, why do we tolerate it? We tolerate manipulation because it feels easier to give in than to fight back. Because manipulators are skilled. They don't always come with anger or aggression. Sometimes they come with charm, with a smile, with affection. They make you feel guilty for standing up for yourself. They make you feel like you're the problem. And when you're constantly told you're the problem, you start believing it. That's how manipulation traps you. Not with chains, but with lies. Here's the thing. Manipulation thrives on silence. It thrives on your willingness to keep peace at the cost of your truth. But you have to understand something. Peace bought with self-betrayal is not peace. It's control. Real peace comes when you can look someone in the eye and say, "You will not twist my words. You will not distort my reality. You will not make me feel guilty for protecting myself." That's the moment you break the cycle. And let me warn you, when you stop tolerating manipulation, you will face resistance. Manipulators don't like losing control. They will push harder. They will test your boundaries. They will throw guilt at you like knives. They'll say, "How could you do this to me? After everything I've done for you, you're selfish. You've changed." And in that moment, you have to remind yourself, yes, I have changed. I am no longer the person who sacrifices myself just to keep you comfortable. That's growth. That's strength. That's freedom. If you want to protect your mind, your heart, your life, you must learn to recognize manipulation in all its forms. Sometimes it's obvious gaslighting. Sometimes it's subtle guilt-tripping. Sometimes it's passive-aggressive behavior, silent treatments, withholding affection, backhanded compliments, and sometimes it's disguised as love. I'm only saying this because I care about you. No, if you cared about me, you wouldn't need to control me. Love does not suffocate. Love does not cage. Love does not manipulate. And I want you to hear this. If you have someone in your life who constantly makes you feel guilty for choosing yourself, for setting boundaries, for saying no, you are not in a healthy relationship. You are in a power struggle. And as long as you keep surrendering your power, you will never know peace. You have to understand, manipulation only works when you give it oxygen. When you feed it with your silence, with your compliance, with your fear of being judged or abandoned. But the moment you say, "No more. I trust my voice. I trust my truth. I trust myself," the manipulator loses their grip. They can only control you as long as you believe their lies over your own reality. So the next time someone tries to twist your words, stop them. The next time someone tries to guilt you into doing something that doesn't sit right with you, pause and ask yourself, whose needs am I serving here? Theirs or mine? The next time someone calls you crazy, too sensitive, overreacting, remember this: people call you crazy when your clarity threatens their control. Never tolerate manipulation. It is not love. It is not care. It is not friendship. It is control, plain and simple. And your life is too valuable, your mind too powerful, your heart too pure to be poisoned by someone else's games. Stand firm. Trust yourself. Protect your truth. Because once you reclaim your mind from manipulation, no one, not a partner, not a boss, not a friend, not even family, can ever own you again. You will own yourself, and that is the ultimate freedom. Broken promises are one of the most underestimated forms of betrayal. People think it's just words, just small slip-ups, just mistakes. But every broken promise chips away at something much bigger: trust. And once trust is gone, everything else collapses. Think back to a time when someone gave you their word. Maybe they promised to show up, to be there when you needed them, to keep a secret, to do better next time. In that moment, you believed them, because we want to believe people. We want to think their word has weight. But then they didn't follow through. They broke it. Maybe they apologized. Maybe they brushed it off. Maybe they gave excuses. And you forgave them because you didn't want to lose them, or you didn't want the conflict. But here's the truth. Every time you excuse a broken promise, you teach people that your trust can be taken for granted. A promise is not just words. A promise is a contract. It's a bond. When someone breaks it, they are telling you they value their convenience more than your trust. They are telling you their comfort is more important than their commitment. And when you allow this pattern, you end up living in relationships where people say the right things, but never back it up. Words become empty, and you're left carrying the weight of disappointment again and again. Why do people break promises? Sometimes it's selfishness. Sometimes it's laziness. Sometimes it's because they think you'll always understand, always forgive, and sometimes it's because they don't have the discipline to follow through. But whatever the reason, the outcome is the same. You end up questioning everything they say. Because if someone shows you they can't keep small promises, how will they ever keep the big ones? Think about it. How many times have you heard someone say, "I'll change, I'll stop, I'll do better, I'll be there for you next time," and then nothing changes? How many times have you waited for someone to prove themselves, only to be disappointed again? That's not love. That's not respect. That's a cycle of broken accountability. And if you tolerate it long enough, you start doubting yourself instead of them. You think, maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe I should lower my expectations. No, your expectations are not too high. Their consistency is too low. Accountability is not optional, it's the foundation of character. Without accountability, words mean nothing. Without accountability, relationships collapse. Without accountability, teams fail, families break, friendships end. And yet so many people look the other way when those around them refuse to own their actions. They let apologies replace change. They let promises replace proof. But you have to understand something. If there's no action, there's no respect. The hardest truth to face is this. If someone repeatedly breaks their word, they are not making mistakes. They are making choices. They are choosing not to prioritize you. They are choosing not to value your time, your trust, your loyalty. And when you keep accepting it, you are choosing to stay in an environment where you will never be able to rely on anyone but yourself. I want you to imagine for a moment that you're building a bridge. Each promise someone keeps is a brick laid down solid and strong. But every broken promise is not just a missing brick, it's a crack. You can still walk on the bridge, but with each crack, it becomes more dangerous, less stable, until eventually it collapses. That's what happens to relationships when there is no accountability. They fall apart, not because of one massive betrayal, but because of 1,000 small cracks left unfixed. Now let's turn this back on you. Are you someone who holds people accountable, or do you make excuses for them? Do you tell yourself, they didn't mean it, they tried, maybe next time, just to avoid confrontation? Because here's the reality, if you don't hold people accountable, they never grow. And if they never grow, your relationship with them never grows. You stay stuck in the same cycles, having the same arguments, feeling the same disappointments over and over. And let me push this even further. Do you hold yourself accountable? Because it's easy to demand consistency from others while letting yourself off the hook. If you promise yourself you'll wake up early, eat better, finish that project, stick to your goals, do you keep your word? Or do you break promises to yourself the same way others break them to you? Because here's the truth. If you cannot trust yourself, if you cannot rely on your own word, you will always tolerate broken promises from others. The standard you set for yourself is the standard you accept from everyone else. So what's the solution? Stop accepting words as currency. Demand proof. If someone says they'll change, watch what they do, not what they say. If someone says they'll be there, see if they show up, not if they apologize later. And when someone consistently shows you they cannot be trusted with small promises, understand that they will never be able to carry the weight of the bigger ones. When you stop tolerating broken promises, you stop tolerating inconsistency, you stop tolerating excuses, you stop tolerating people who want the benefits of being in your life without the responsibility of being reliable. And yes, it will hurt. It will hurt to walk away from people you love. It will hurt to hold people accountable when you want to forgive them. But the pain of honesty is always better than the slow death of disappointment. Broken promises are not small things. They are signs, they are warnings. And if you listen to them early, you protect yourself from the collapse that always comes when accountability is missing. Trust is sacred. Your word is sacred. Never allow anyone to keep breaking theirs without consequence. Because when you demand accountability, You create relationships that are real, strong, and lasting. And when you accept less, you invite chaos, instability, and endless frustration. The bottom line is this: someone's word is their character. And if they cannot honor their word, they do not deserve your trust. Never confuse excuses with accountability. Never confuse apologies with action. And never confuse empty promises with real commitment. Because the moment you stop tolerating broken promises, you start building a life where every connection, every relationship, every commitment is built on a foundation you can actually stand on. Negativity is one of the most silent killers of potential. Not your own negativity, but the negativity you allow into your space from others. You may not realize it, but the people around you have the power to shape how you think, how you feel, and ultimately how you live. And when you surround yourself with those who are constantly negative, constantly complaining, constantly tearing things down, you're slowly being poisoned. You may not taste it in one sip, but over time it drains your energy, your motivation, and your belief in yourself. We all know people like this. People who always have a reason why something won't work. People who turn every conversation into a pity party. People who gossip, criticize, and complain, but never do anything to change their situation. You leave a conversation with them feeling heavier than when you walked in. That's the sign. That's the effect of negativity. It drains, it pulls, it suffocates. And if you're not careful, it becomes contagious. You absorb it. You start speaking the same way. You start thinking the same way until one day you wake up and realize you're no longer chasing your goals. You're just sitting around listing reasons why they'll never happen. Let me be brutally honest with you. Negativity is a form of theft. It steals your energy. It steals your hope. It steals your future, because no one who lives in constant negativity ever builds anything meaningful. No one who surrounds themselves with complainers, doubters, and cynics ever rises above. You become what you allow into your life. And if you allow constant negativity, you are teaching yourself that your dreams don't matter, that your effort doesn't matter, that your life doesn't matter. Now here's where people get stuck. They tolerate negativity because it feels normal. They think that's just how my family is. That's just how my friends are. That's just how my coworkers talk. But what you accept as normal eventually becomes your environment. And your environment is stronger than your intentions. You can have the best goals, the strongest willpower. But if your environment is filled with negative, draining people, eventually you will bend to it. That's why so many people never break through. Not because they don't have potential, but because they are constantly breathing in the smog of other people's pessimism. I want you to really think about who you let into your space. Who do you talk to daily? Who do you listen to? Who do you spend time with? Because every interaction is an exchange of energy. Some people walk into your life and you feel inspired, lifted, challenged to become better. Others walk into your life and you feel smaller, weaker, more doubtful. That's not by accident. That's influence. That's energy. And if you do not guard it, you will lose it. Negativity doesn't just kill your energy. It kills your confidence. Because when you constantly hear someone say, that's impossible, that's stupid, that will never work, you start to wonder if maybe they're right. You stop taking risks. You stop dreaming big. You settle for mediocrity because you've been conditioned to believe greatness is out of reach. And all of that because you let someone else's negative voice override your own. And then there's the drama. People who thrive on chaos, gossip, constant conflict. People who always have a problem, always have an enemy, always have something to complain about. They live in storms and try to drag you in with them. You know what happens when you let them? Their storm becomes your storm. Their chaos becomes your chaos. And suddenly, your energy isn't going toward building your life. It's being wasted trying to fix theirs. Why do we tolerate this? Because negativity often comes from people we love. Friends, family, even partners. And you think, I can't cut them out. They've always been there. I'll just learn to deal with it. But dealing with it is not neutral. Dealing with it is destructive, because every ounce of energy you waste absorbing negativity is energy you lose for building your own future. You only get so much energy every day. Where is yours going? Toward your vision or toward carrying other people's bitterness? Here's the truth you need to hear. You cannot afford to keep people in your life who drain you. I don't care if it's a friend you've known for 10 years or a family member who shares your blood. If they are constantly negative, constantly pulling you down, constantly leaving you empty, you must create distance. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it's survival. And I'll tell you something else. When you start setting boundaries with negative people, they will not like it. They'll call you selfish. They'll say you've changed. They'll try to guilt you back into their cycle. But remember this, yes, you have changed. You've changed because you finally realize your life is too valuable to waste in conversations that go nowhere, arguments that drain you, and relationships that suffocate you. And if someone cannot support your growth, then they cannot stay in your circle. Let me remind you, negativity is easy. Complaining is easy. Criticizing is easy, but building, creating, achieving, that takes energy, that takes focus, that takes courage. So when someone spends all their time dragging down, it's because they don't have the courage to rise up. Don't let their fear become your cage. Don't let their bitterness become your identity. You need to start protecting your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Your energy is what fuels your dreams. It's what gets you through obstacles. It's what allows you to keep going when things get hard. Lose your energy and you lose everything. That's why negativity is so dangerous. It doesn't just make you feel bad in the moment. It robs you of the fuel you need to become who you are meant to be. From this day forward, I want you to be ruthless about your energy. Pay attention to how you feel after every conversation, every interaction. If someone leaves you drained every time, they are costing you too much. And if you don't cut the costs, you'll go bankrupt. Not financially, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Your life is too short to spend it with people who only know how to take. Surround yourself with people who lift you, challenge you, inspire you. People who believe in you, even when you doubt yourself. People who make you want to rise higher, not sink lower. That's the kind of energy that builds empires. That's the kind of energy that creates unstoppable momentum. Negativity and energy-draining behavior are not small annoyances. They are killers of dreams. And if you don't cut them out, they will cut you down. Protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. Control is one of the most toxic behaviors you should never tolerate from anyone. Because control is not love, control is not care, control is not protection, control is power. And when someone tries to control you, what they're really saying is, I don't respect your ability to live your own life. I don't trust you to make your own choices. I need to own you to feel safe. That's not love, that's domination. And once you allow it, it only gets worse. Control doesn't always come with chains and orders. Sometimes it shows up as constant advice that's really just criticism. Sometimes it looks like someone deciding where you should go, who you should see, how you should act. Sometimes it's subtle, someone giving you the silent treatment until you cave in and do what they want. And sometimes it's obvious, someone flat out telling you, don't wear that, don't talk to them. Don't do this unless I say so. But no matter how it shows up, the message is the same. Your life isn't yours, it belongs to me. Think about how many people live their entire lives under someone else's control. Parents who still dictate how their grown children should live. Partners who suffocate their significant others with jealousy and suspicion. Bosses who think they own your every minute, even outside of work. Friends who guilt you into always choosing them over your own needs. And why do people tolerate this? Because control often disguises itself as care. Someone says, I'm only doing this because I love you. I'm only saying this because I want what's best for you. But here's the truth. Love guides, it doesn't cage, real care supports. It doesn't suffocate. When you tolerate control, you start shrinking. You stop making choices for yourself. You begin to silence your voice just to keep the peace. You lose touch with who you are until one day you wake up and realize you're living a life designed by someone else, not by you. And nothing feels heavier than carrying a life that isn't even yours. Control thrives on fear, the fear of disappointing someone, the fear of losing a relationship, the fear of being judged. That's why people allow it. They think if I push back, they'll get angry. If I set boundaries, I'll lose them. If I say no, they'll think I don't care. But here's the brutal truth. The people who truly love you will never make you choose between your freedom and their approval. The ones who demand control don't love you. They love power. And if you give them an inch, they'll take your whole life. Boundaries are the antidote to control. Boundaries are not walls. Boundaries are not rejection. Boundaries are respect. They are the lines you draw to protect your freedom, your dignity, your peace of mind. And anyone who cannot respect your boundaries does not respect you. It's that simple. But here's what makes boundaries so difficult. You have to enforce them. Saying, I don't like when you do that, means nothing. If you allow the behavior to continue, setting boundaries is not about talking, it's about action. It's about saying, if you speak to me like that again, I'm leaving, and then actually leaving. If you try to control who I see, we will not continue this relationship. And then actually following through. A boundary without consequences is just a suggestion. And controlling people don't respect suggestions. They respect actions. Some of you have been tolerating control for years. You've let people make choices for you, dictate your life, decide who you are, and you've convinced yourself it's normal, it's easier, it's safer to just go along. But deep down, you feel it. That suffocating weight, that anger that never gets expressed, that quiet resentment building inside you. That's the cost of control. And if you keep paying it, one day you'll lose yourself completely. Let me tell you something. Freedom is not negotiable. Your life belongs to you. Your choices belong to you. And if someone cannot handle that, they don't belong in your inner circle. Stop apologizing for wanting freedom. Stop justifying why you need space. Stop feeling guilty for setting boundaries. You don't need to explain why you want to live your life on your terms. You don't need anyone's permission to be yourself. And yes, when you start setting boundaries, people will push back. They will accuse you of being selfish. They will say you've changed. They will try to guilt you into giving them control again. But listen to me, do not bend. Do not shrink. Do not apologize, because the people who truly value you will adjust. They will respect the lines you draw. They will celebrate your freedom instead of fighting it. And the ones who cannot handle that, they will fall away. And that is not a loss. That's a filter, and that's life, showing you who truly deserves a place beside you. Control and boundary crossing are deal breakers. They destroy relationships. They destroy individuality. They destroy trust. And the longer you tolerate it, the harder it becomes to break free. But the moment you decide, no more, my life is mine, my choices are mine, my voice is mine, everything shifts. You stand taller, you breathe freer, you feel lighter, because you finally reclaimed what was always yours, yourself. From this moment on, promise yourself this: you will not allow anyone to dictate who you are or how you live. You will not allow guilt or fear to silence your boundaries. You will not tolerate control disguised as love, because real love celebrates your freedom. Real respect honors your boundaries, and real connection is built on trust, not domination. You get one life, just one. Don't spend it living under someone else's rules. Don't hand over your freedom for the illusion of approval. Stand up, speak out, draw the line, and never ever apologize for protecting your life, your voice, and your freedom. So here we are, 5 behaviors you should never ever tolerate from anyone: disrespect, manipulation, broken promises, negativity, and control. These aren't just small red flags. They are silent killers of your peace, your confidence, your future. And every time you allow them to stay in your life, you are trading pieces of yourself away, piece by piece, until one day you look in the mirror and wonder, where did I go? What happened to me? But here's the good news. You don't have to keep living like that. You don't have to keep shrinking. You don't have to keep teaching people that your boundaries don't matter. You have the power to say no. You have the power to walk away. You have the power to protect your voice, your peace, your energy, and your life. Remember this: what you allow is what will continue. If you allow disrespect, you'll keep getting disrespected. If you allow manipulation, you'll keep being manipulated. If you allow broken promises, negativity, or control, they will spread like poison into every corner of your life. But the second you draw the line, The second you decide, I will no longer tolerate this, everything changes. People start treating you differently, you start treating yourself differently, and suddenly you are no longer a passenger in your own life. You are the driver. Do not confuse tolerance with kindness. Do not confuse silence with peace. Protecting yourself is not selfish. Setting boundaries is not cruel. Walking away is not weakness. It is strength. It is clarity. It is self-respect in action. So let me leave you with this. You get one life, just one, and it is far too short, far too precious to waste on people who cannot honor who you are. Demand respect. Reject manipulation. Hold people accountable. Guard your energy. Protect your freedom. And never apologize for it. Because the moment you stop tolerating what destroys you, you create space for what builds you. And that right there is how you reclaim your power, your peace, and your life.